Have you ever noticed that some people just think, and things happen? Everything aligns, opportunities appear, doors open. And the most shocking part? It's not luck, it's vibration. There's an inner state so powerful that it makes reality rearrange itself around you. And the most important thing, you also have this hidden code inside you. But why do most people feel stuck, even when they try everything? What you're going to discover in this video has been kept secret for millennia, and it's behind all real manifestation phenomena. It doesn't matter if you've already tried meditating, visualizing, using crystals, frequencies, or quantum techniques. If your vibration isn't grounded in the right place, everything collapses. And that's what you're going to understand now, because what's blocking you isn't what you think. It's where your energy is hiding. And when you release that, your reality will no longer resist. It will follow you. Stay with me until the end, because what you're going to feel today might activate something that will completely change the way you manifest. Energy flows where attention goes. Believe it. What's blocking your vibration is acting right now, even as you watch this video. It's like an invisible, subtle, but incredibly efficient field that pulls you back every time you try to rise. And the cruelest part, it doesn't act in obvious ways. It hides behind beautiful practices, beautiful words, spiritual routines that seem right, but they're not. Today, more than ever, we see people committing with discipline to self-discovery paths. They meditate, light incense, do yoga at sunrise, dive into retreats, use crystals, follow gurus, apply NLP, practice visualization every day, attend family constellations, study quantum physics, repeat power affirmations, all of that, every day. But deep down, they feel they're still stuck in the same place, as if life placed an invisible ceiling they can't break through. The feeling is clear. They're doing everything right, but something is still wrong. And that's painful, because unlike those who never sought anything, these people are truly trying. They invest energy, time, hope, and even so, they face emotional relapses, internal sabotage, repeated patterns, financial blocks, recurring conflicts, a sense of stagnation, and worse, they start to believe the problem is within them, that they don't have enough faith, that they're not vibrating right, that maybe they're not worthy. But this belief is exactly part of the trap. There's a silent mistake that no one talks about, and it's found precisely in those who try the hardest to evolve, because modern spirituality has created a dangerous illusion. The idea that if you do all the right practices, your life will automatically align. But it doesn't work that way. And the reason is deeper than you think. Spiritual practices are tools, like keys that open doors. But what good is a key if the door is locked from the inside? What good is lighting a candle if your inner energy is blocked by something you don't even see? It's like putting perfume on a wound without cleaning it. It might mask the smell for a while, but the pain is still there. And here's the truth. Practices alone don't change your vibration. They only amplify what's already happening inside. If there's a block, the practice won't remove it. If there's an unconscious pattern, the technique won't solve it. And that's why so many people end up back at the same place, as if there's an invisible elastic pulling them back. Because there is. That elastic is what no one taught you how to release. Most people try to raise their frequency while carrying too much weight. They try to access the sacred while still tied to tensions, memories, beliefs, vibrational patterns that are still active. Vibrating, emitting signals. What you emit is what you attract, and that has nothing to do with the technique you use. If the root is rotten, the fruit won't grow sweet. This is the blind spot of performative spirituality. You can be doing everything that seems right and still vibrating in the same place. Because if something isn't touched inside, if something isn't seen with courage, Your energy will remain stuck in old patterns. It's like trying to take flight with an anchor tied to your chest. And you might flap your wings, but you won't leave the ground. And this anchor, no matter how much you think you've already overcome it, is still there. Because most people don't know where to look. And more than that, they don't know what they're looking for. They seek external solutions for something that's being generated internally, all the time. Something that acts silently, sabotaging everything. And the worst part is that it's already at work now, even as you listen to this message. The truth that science and Hermeticism have hidden until now. The time has come to reveal something many people feel, but few can put into words. The universe is not punishing you, testing you, or ignoring you. It is simply responding. And that response comes through frequency. This is the key that connects everything. Everything vibrates. Everything. This is not a spiritual belief or a poetic metaphor. It is a law. The ancients already knew this. Thoth, Hermes Trismegistus, the Hermetic masters, they all pointed in the same direction. Nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates. But for centuries, this truth was disregarded, hidden, discredited, until science itself was forced to confirm what the sages had been saying all along. When physicists like Planck, Einstein, and Heisenberg began exploring matter at microscopic levels, they discovered something unsettling. There is nothing truly solid in the universe. Matter, when deeply observed, is merely condensed energy. Everything that exists vibrates at a certain frequency. Even what seems static is in motion. And this is where the bridge between science and Hermeticism begins to reveal itself with strength. Authors like David R. Hawkins dedicated years of study to prove that human consciousness also vibrates on different scales. Through experiments and energetic measurements, he created a vibrational scale that maps states of consciousness from the densest to the highest. At the base are frequencies like shame, guilt, and fear. Higher up are courage, acceptance, love, and joy. At the top, peace, enlightenment, unity. Each vibrational state emits a specific field, and that field determines the kind of reality you experience. For example, when you vibrate in fear, you don't just feel fear, you activate the field of fear, which attracts experiences that match that frequency. The same happens with anger, sadness, envy. But it also happens with love, gratitude, compassion. Vibration is a silent language, and the universe understands that language. Joe Dispenza, in his studies of neuroscience and quantum physics, reached the same conclusion. The human body is like an antenna that emits signals according to its inner state. What you feel, think, and believe creates an electromagnetic field that interacts with the quantum field around you. It is not positive thinking that manifests. It is vibrational coherence. It is when what you feel, think, and focus on are aligned. Only then can the universe respond accurately. This explains why, even when you want something with all your might, you may keep attracting the opposite. Because it's not about what you want, it's about what you vibrate. And this vibration originates from an even deeper point in your internal structure, a point that acts without you noticing, and that determines the foundation of your predominant frequency. And here's what no one tells you. It's no use knowing this scale if you don't understand what's really controlling your position on it. Because there is a hidden factor, a habit so deeply rooted that you already consider it natural. But it's what defines every day where you are vibrating. And the real cause of your frequency is still hidden behind an invisible habit you repeat every day. And this habit has a name: attention. Yes, that thing that seems so simple, so automatic. is exactly what determines the silent direction of your frequency. The place where you put your attention is what is, right now, creating the kind of life you live. It doesn't matter what you say you want or what you repeat in affirmations. The universe doesn't respond to your speech. It responds to what your attention is feeding. And here comes a point that almost no one notices. Your attention is like a flashlight in a dark room. Where you point it is what you illuminate, and what you illuminate grows. If you shine this light on painful memories, scarcity thoughts, people who hurt you, or worries about what could go wrong, your vibration immediately aligns with those frequencies. Even if on the outside you are smiling, dressing well, trying to think positively. Vibration doesn't hide. It follows your attention like an inseparable shadow. Now imagine what happens when that attention is stuck in dense states for a long time. Fear, anger, comparison, guilt, resentment. You can spend years trying to change something in your life, but if your attention keeps going back to the same pain points, to the same internal justifications, to the same unconscious stories, then, without realizing it, you're rebuilding every day the same reality you want to change. Poorly directed attention becomes a daily spell, subtle, silent, but powerful enough to keep your consciousness trapped in a vibrational state that no longer belongs to you, but that you keep inhabiting out of habit. And this is where everything begins to make sense. Vibration is not just about feeling something good or bad. It's a direct consequence of where your attention rests most often. Because what you sustain with focus becomes a vibrational field, and that field shapes everything. And poorly directed attention can trap your energy in the 3 densest centers of the body, where 98% of people remain. You can spend years trying to change something in your life, but if your attention keeps going back to the same pain points, to the same internal justifications, to the same unconscious stories, then, without realizing it, you're rebuilding every day the same reality you want to change. Poorly directed attention becomes a daily spell, subtle, silent, but powerful enough to keep your consciousness trapped in a vibrational state that no longer belongs to you, but that you keep inhabiting out of habit. And this is where everything begins to make sense. Vibration is not just about feeling something good or bad. It's a direct consequence of where your attention rests most often. Because what you sustain with focus becomes a vibrational field. And that field shapes everything. And poorly directed attention can trap your energy in the 3 densest centers of the body, where 98% of people remain. The 3 chakras that are holding your life in the same place. Since childhood, we have been programmed to suppress, hide, and control what we feel. Society never taught us how to deal with guilt, fear, shame, or anger. On the contrary, we were taught to pretend these emotions don't exist. And every time you repress an emotion instead of feeling it, that energy doesn't disappear. It sinks. It condenses. It gets stored in specific parts of your body. These points have been known for millennia by Eastern energy traditions as chakras, subtle centers of power that channel, distribute, and organize vital energy throughout the body. But when dense emotions are repressed and not processed, these centers start to get congested. Imagine a river blocked by stones. The water keeps trying to flow, but the current is interrupted. The flow is disorganized, and what was meant to be movement becomes stagnation. And that is exactly what happens with the first 3 chakras: root, sacral, and solar plexus. They are where the densest vibrational charges accumulate. Guilt settles in the root, fear in the plexus, shame gets lodged in the sexual center, anger gets trapped between the urge to control and the inability to do so. The feeling of powerlessness, of unworthiness, of always fighting against something invisible usually originates there. Because these centers form the energetic foundation of your existence, and when this foundation is blocked, everything above it loses support. Hawkins had already pointed out in his scale of consciousness that the emotions with the lowest energy frequency are those linked to survival. Below 200 on the scale, the human vibrational field enters protection mode. The body hardens, the mind shuts down, intuition disconnects. The energy field goes into functional collapse, and even if the person meditates, prays, or repeats mantras, as long as that energy is compressed in the lower centers, the natural flow of consciousness cannot rise. And the more you try to expand without clearing that base, the more overloaded your system becomes. Because there is no foundation to support a higher frequency if the base is contaminated by stagnant vibrations. That's why many people reach peaks of expansion during retreats or deep meditative states, but then fall back into the same patterns. Because the energy does not stabilize, it doesn't find a clear path to circulate. And here comes the more subtle part. This energetic stagnation doesn't only express itself through emotional pain. It manifests in the physical body: tension in the shoulders, heaviness in the stomach, unexplained lower back pain, lack of libido, constant anxiety, shortness of breath, compulsions. All of these are symptoms of what's been accumulated and not released. They are clear signs that energy is stuck somewhere, trying to find a way out, and the body screams when the soul goes silent. Because once this energy settles in the denser centers, it doesn't go away with affirmations or mantras. It creates a cycle, a repetitive pattern that operates behind every thought, decision, and reaction. And without realizing it, you start living on autopilot, where everything that happens seems like it has already happened before. The same situations, the same pains, the same limitations. Like a movie you watch over and over, hoping the ending will change. But it never does. This is the secret mechanism of vibrational repetition, and it's more common than it seems. In fact, it is the hidden reason behind most spiritual and emotional frustrations. It's as if there's an invisible program running in the background of your system, pushing you toward the same places, even when you want to go another way. And this programming isn't just in the mind, it's in the body, in the field, in your vibrational state. Carl Jung clearly stated, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." And that's exactly what happens. You begin to think certain things are written, that certain patterns are part of your story, that you're unlucky or have some heavy karma, or that certain experiences are unavoidable. But they're not. What's happening is that your repressed emotions have created a frequency, and that frequency became a signature, a kind of vibrational identity that you carry wherever you go. This identity, even though it's not visible, is instantly recognized by the universe, because everything is energy, and energy responds to energy. When you emit a vibration based on pain, lack, or fear, reality doesn't question whether it's fair or not. It simply gives you more of the same, because that's how the field works. It amplifies what you sustain. And when that vibration becomes your baseline, you start repeating, not by choice, but by energetic habit. You can change cities, jobs, relationships. But if your frequency doesn't change, the pattern will repeat with new clothes, new names, new masks. It's like life is on loop. Because what's looping isn't life. It's your vibration. This repetition is constantly fueled by your unconscious attention. When you reject an emotion, it doesn't go away. It hides. But it remains active, pulling your attention toward everything that confirms that feeling. And little by little, you start seeing the world filtered through that frequency. That's why two people can go through the same situation and react in completely different ways. It's not what happens that defines the outcome. It's what's vibrating inside. And the big trap is that the longer you live in this pattern, the stronger it becomes. Because every new repetition reinforces the story you tell about yourself. And that story becomes truth. You start believing that's just the way it is, that there's no other path, that this is your reality. And as long as you believe that, the vibration doesn't change. And if the vibration doesn't change, life doesn't change. But there is a technique, simple, deep and powerful, that can break this cycle. And it's the one that's about to be revealed now. The transmutation technique that releases your stagnant energy. And the most surprising thing is that this technique doesn't require external tools, advanced courses, or any special initiation. It only requires one thing: presence. True presence. The kind of presence that faces the emotion head-on, without trying to understand, control, or fix it. Because what heals the emotion is not the intellect, it's loving attention. The energy that flows freely when you allow yourself to feel without resistance. And here's the secret. What keeps pain alive is not what you feel, it's what you resist feeling. Every time you try to run from an unpleasant emotion, you give your energy to it. You push it down into the body, into unconscious layers, and there it keeps vibrating, feeding repetitive thoughts, triggering automatic reactions, shaping your reality without you realizing it. That's why the release technique is so powerful. It reverses the movement. Instead of repressing, it allows. Instead of controlling, it embraces. And that changes everything, because in that moment, the energy that was previously used to keep the emotion imprisoned begins to be released. It's like a dam slowly opening. The water starts to flow again. And with it, your vital force. Here's how it works. Instead of fighting what you feel, you surrender to the experience. You pause, close your eyes, breathe, and locate the sensation in your body. Where is it? What's the temperature, the weight, the density? You don't need to understand the origin. You don't need to rationalize. You just need to allow. Without judgment. Without a story. Without rushing. The focus is on feeling, not thinking. As you observe the emotion with this clean attention, something quiet begins to happen. The energy that was condensed starts to loosen. It may come as heat, as inner movement. It may come as tears, shivers, tremors. All of these are signs that the release is happening. And in that moment, what was pain transforms. Because the energy of the emotion isn't negative by itself. It was just misdirected. When it flows, it purifies, it rises. And that's why, after the release, you feel lighter, you feel space, clarity. Not because you solved a problem, but because you allowed the stagnant energy to move. And that movement opens up a new vibrational space within you. A portal, a point of energetic transition where the old cycle is broken and a new frequency begins to settle. But what happens when that energy is released is something that will change everything you understand about manifestation. Because suddenly, everything that seemed difficult starts to lose its rigidity. The mind becomes quieter. Decisions become more intuitive. The body responds with more vitality, and reality starts to feel cooperative, as if things begin to align without so much effort. You're not forcing. You're not desperately visualizing. You're simply allowing the right vibration to become your natural foundation. And there's an energetic explanation for this. When the emotion is released, the body's vibrational field reorganizes. The energy that was previously used to repress or resist is now available. And that released energy is converted into a higher frequency. It's literally like turning lead into gold, transforming emotional weight into vibrational power. This power isn't explosive. It's quiet. It's the kind of strength that anchors you in the now, that connects you to the flow of life, that puts you in the right rhythm of things. And when that happens, everything around you begins to reflect this new frequency. Different people show up. Stuck situations get unstuck. What once seemed far away starts to come to you. This is the true impact of conscious emotional release. The energy that once kept you tied to the past becomes fuel to create a new present. And when this practice becomes part of your routine, your vibration begins to rise naturally. Without effort, without complex technique, without miraculous promises, you start to feel more like yourself, more whole, lighter, and the world responds to that. And when this vibration stabilizes, reality begins to respond with surprising precision. The new frequency begins to manifest a new reality. From the moment your frequency stabilizes at higher levels, the quantum field begins to reorganize. And this reorganization is not symbolic, it is real. The vibration you sustain becomes a silent command that the universe understands as a direct order. But here's the difference. Now, it's no longer a command driven by lack, by effort, by desperation to change something. Now, it is a pure, clean, coherent emission. A frequency that already carries within it the final state. The field does not respond to what you want. It responds to what you are while you vibrate. And when you vibrate from a released state, the field responds with ease. What once seemed stuck begins to move naturally. You begin to notice that certain situations simply resolve on their own. Toxic people distance themselves. New paths emerge. Opportunities that were previously invisible appear as if they were always there, just waiting for you to tune in. But it's not magic. It's resonance. And it happens without you needing to control every detail. Because control, in fact, is one of the first things to fall away when you enter this state. It's as if the universe begins to cooperate with you. Not because you begged for it, but because you became compatible with what you want to experience. It is at this point that conscious manifestation stops being a technique and becomes a reflection. The reality you desire is no longer something distant. It becomes a natural extension of your predominant vibration, and this is deeply liberating, because it means you no longer have to chase anything. You don't have to prove or convince or strive to force the flow. You align, and the flow comes to you, because everything that once seemed unreachable now recognizes your frequency as familiar and begins to gravitate around you with ease, not because everything changed outside, but because you changed inside. And when this frequency stabilizes, the secret Thoth kept hidden for millennia begins to reveal itself. Not in words, not in scriptures, not in secret rituals, but in the living experience of your own field. The secret was never a formula. It was a remembrance. The remembrance of who you are before the pain, before the layers, before the repetitions. And that remembrance doesn't come from the mind. It comes from vibration. Because vibrating high is not a state you reach. It's a state you remember, a return, an intimate recognition of a presence that has always been within you, but was buried under fear, conditioning, and emotional silence. Now, with the energy released, that being begins to emerge, and with it, a new way of existing. You realize that you are not here to survive. You are here to express, to create, to expand. And that doesn't require effort. It requires awareness. When your vibration aligns with the truth of who you are, the universe recognizes you as part of itself. And that union dissolves the void, dissolves the effort, dissolves the separation. This is the point where manifestation becomes an extension of being. You don't ask, you emit. You don't force, you flow. You don't wish, you anchor. And this is Thoth's hidden key. Conscious vibration is the language the universe uses to respond to you, not by merit, but by resonance, not by blind faith, but by precise frequency. You no longer need to be someone trying to reach something. You can be the one who allows everything to come to you, because now you have become magnetic, and when you vibrate in your natural state, everything that once seemed far begins to come to you, because now you have become magnetic. If you felt this message spoke to you, then leave in the comments, "My frequency is ready." Write that to anchor this new vibration and, who knows, activate someone who's still searching for the same answer. Oh, and if you'd like to support the channel directly and help spread this wisdom to more people, there's a link in the first pinned comment. Or, if you prefer, you can click the "Thanks a lot" button just below the video. That really helps keep this content alive and accessible to everyone who's ready to remember who they truly are. And don't leave just yet. A special video has been carefully selected to help you go even deeper into this vibrational awakening. Just click on the screen and I'll see you there, at an even deeper level of this journey.